Good morning. Welcome to ThatOldCarGuy.com, episode 7. So, once again today, I have with me my good friend John Furman. Two old car guys. We have both been in this business a long time. I started in '86. When was your first year?
A little bit before that.
It's okay.
I'm way older, but you've got the name, so go ahead.
But we, I think one of the reasons both of us have been so successful through the years is that we changed with the changing business. We learned the technology, we learned the internet, we learned the different ad sets, we learned about Facebook, we learned about the way consumers are, the more educated the consumers were. I remember when rebates came out, John, everybody said, car business is over, we're done, they've ruined it. You know, and then Edmunds came out, and then you could find out the invoice, and that was the end of the world. And then something else came out, and that was the end of the world. I mean, it's like it's always the end of the car business. You know?
Yeah, it seems that's why they build single-story dealerships, so dealers aren't jumping off the roof every time the world is. But it's true. You know, yeah. I mean, you know, we have fuel injection, we have ABS, we have airbags, you know, and guys are still selling like their carburetors in there, you know, and they can't understand why their numbers are the way they are. And, you know, I mean, I've got training clients, I went in the 90s, and they were selling 85 to 100 cars a month, and here it is 30 years later, and they're selling 85 to 100 cars a month, but they're paying $15,000 a month for technology. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
A lot of people haven't grown, and then a lot of the new people coming in haven't been, you know, taught some of the basics in the old school ways. Like all the stores that I've ran, you know, the last 10, 12, 15 years, I still cut a green piece, a salesperson's tie. I tell them the day before, you know, you're going on the floor tomorrow, you need to wear an older tie. Or bring an older tie with you. Why is that? Well, you'll find out, but make sure you bring an older tie. That's an old tradition that some people say is stupid, but you still get the same reaction when they walk around the showroom for the whole day with that tie cut off here, and the customers go, what's that? And people stop and talk to them, and it's still, I've had customers go, no, can I cut his tie? I was his first customer.
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of the interaction that sometimes I think people miss. And you know, let's face it, it's still a people business. You know, when Saturn came out, they were going to be the new kind of car, the new kind of company. They were going to change the face of the car business. Because there's no negotiation. Here's the price. Here's what your trade's worth. Here's our car. You don't have to haggle. Well, if that was the case, Saturn would be the only company left. But last I checked, I think Saturn is gone, right?
Well, yeah, and part of the problem was, you know, it was starting to work because what they did was, which is what dealers should do. They said, this is our segment. We're not going to sell everybody a Saturn. We're going to sell this percentage of the people a Saturn. Let's drive that. And then for whatever reason, you know, General Motors in their moment of weakness, or whatever you want to call it, decided, no, let's build more Saturns, let's ship them more Saturns, and they dump all the expense on the dealer, and the dealer's like, oh crap, let's have a sale, and that was the end.
Yep.
You know, it's in individual dealerships, it's the same thing. You know, find a process that works and stick with the process. Don't adapt, don't change.
Yeah.
Work with it until the market tells you otherwise.
Yeah. I mean, you know, when you're selling a car that has hardly no markup, and salespeople run flats, so it's tough. You know, and then, you know, for salespeople, there's something that has always kind of bugged me. You know, a football team practices 6 days a week or 5 days a week to play on Sunday, and I'm not a football guy. And those of you that know me well. I'm a motorsports guy. But football, baseball, that's the best analogy. Stick and ball sports, they practice all week. Salespeople don't practice. They're not ready for the game. You know, there's something I was talking to John about when he first got here. We were having our coffee before we started doing the segment, and I said, you know, if you Google how to buy a car, which people do, I did it. In 47 seconds, it came up with 4,130,000 different sites on how to buy a car. If you don't think that some of your customers or most of your customers are reading that, they are. There's even a spot, how to buy a car with bad credit. There's a spot about what dealer holdback is. There's a spot about what incentives they get. I looked it up. There's a site that explains if you're a Chrysler store, your stair step money. Customers can actually figure out every month how much you're getting for stair step. If they go, how many cars have you sold? How many new cars have you sold this month? Well, they might be asking you that because you know that if you hit your RAM objective, you got $1,500 of RAM coming. They're going to want to dig into that money. You've got to spend time with your customers, but you've also got to educate yourself and know, you know, you can't go, well, this guy thinks he knows everything. Well, he might have been studying for 3 weeks on how to buy a car. So if you don't know what he's going to bring up, or if you do know, but if you don't know how to answer it, you've lost all credibility. You know, if a customer says, well, I know you got 3% holdback, you go, oh, no, we don't either, we don't either, you know. Well, yes, you do. So don't try to hide it, and that's what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
You're still trying to hide stuff. It doesn't work.
The customer knows more now than they've ever known before because there's information everywhere. And, you know, whose fault it is really irrelevant. When a customer comes through your door, or, you know, back when I was doing retail, the average customer went to 5 or 6 stores and then made a decision. Today, 1.5. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means if you don't get them, the next guy does. So why spend an inordinate amount of time arguing with the customer whether there is or isn't holdback or dealer? Just agree. They already know, you know, and if you go, well, that's not true, even if it isn't true, you're going to be the liar. And that's why we're training now so hard with full disclosure selling. Here's the cards on the table.
Yep.
And, you know, the funny thing is that when you're doing that, you're doing it quick, because customers today value their time more than ever before. But when you give them the information, here it is, here's all the facts, fast, sales go up, grosses go up, and it's a much softer sell in F&I, as opposed to Game of Thrones, you know, where everything is a battle.
Well, you know, it's funny that you bring that up because, you know, for years and years and years, and everybody will tell you, everybody that's worked with me, I'm a Foursquare guy. I've always been the old school Foursquare guy. There's nothing better. There's not anything better. 3 years ago, I went to a store and they had a penciling tool, and I'm like, do I really got to use this? This is horrible. I hate this thing. They said, you got to use it or you can't work deals. Okay, well, I'm the GSM, so my other 2 guys are looking at me going, is he going to use it? Do we have to use it? So I spent one whole day and learned it inside and out. And I used it every day. That company had 1, 2, 3, 4 showrooms, and every day a report came out on the desking managers and who was desking deals and how much gross. Not 1 month while I was there, and I'm the GSM, so I'm not just desking deals, I'm ordering cars, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, figuring advertising with the GM. I never got beat, not by one manager. The closest anybody got to me was in $30,000, I think it was $32,000 in gross they got to me for the month. That was as close as they could get. So the GM went back and pulled a report because everybody thought I was cheating. It was because I started every deal the same way, but I used the penciling tool and I clicked on the rate and showed the rate, and I showed the term, and I showed there was a warranty, and I showed there was gap in it, and it showed it was optional, and it wasn't printed in fine print, it was printed right at the top of the paper. So obviously my F&I guy loved me, but the salespeople did too, and I trained my salespeople. I'm like, listen, I know you're not getting paid on this, but I want you to present it because it'll make the deal go quicker. And I said, if you're 2 cars away or 1 car away at the end of the month from hitting your, you know, hitting your next level, you know, in that company, if you sold 18 cars, you were guaranteed $14,000 for the month. That's a big guarantee. You know, you've got your commissions or, you know, the 14 grand. But I told him, I said, I'll take a short deal. I'll take a really short deal to make sure you hit your objective because you've helped me all month. And I got to say that I don't think I would ever go back to a handwritten Foursquare again. I like a penciling tool. Now, there's some of them out there that are different. Some are a little bit more money. Some are a little bit less. But a full disclosure pencil tool, number one, keeps your dealership safe. I think it strengthens your salespeople. And, you know, in this business, you can't move up until you train your replacement. So you always got to be training somebody. So train your salesperson, the best salesperson on the floor that can describe warranty, gap, financing, and this and that. That's your obvious fit to put part-time F&I when you need a backup. And then you work them up from there. So, I mean, guys need to change, but I also think that the new salespeople need to learn that they got to invest in themselves. Nobody's going to do it for you. Nobody did it for me. Nobody did it for you.
No, and you know, it's a big point. You know, when the newest software out there, you know, technology. I'm not a tech guy. I'm a retail guy. I'm a car guy. But you know, some of the technology we designed at OptionSoft is a high-tech Foursquare. That's all we did was we turned it into technology. So no more magic markers on a piece of paper. It's all hand printed out. But basically, it's Mr. Customer. Here's the answer to all your questions. Number one. Number two. The number one complaint customers have in the business today is it takes too much time to buy a car.
Correct.
Your millennials, which again, by all predictions, by this time next year, are going to be the largest buying group in the world today. Millennials will not spend 6 hours in your showroom, no matter what kind of deal you're going to offer. They're just not going to do it.
No.
So if you can get and cut that time in half, because you're telling them everything. Here's you, here's the car, here's the price, here's the value of your trade with notes as to why we valued it that way. Here's all your payment options with product or without, depending on dealership policy. All there. Here's all the information, Mr. Customer. And again, the way I was trained, the way you were trained, if I answer all of your questions, I give you all the information, I show you everything about the vehicle, I have the right and the obligation to ask you to make a decision now.
Right.
And you know what? It works. But here's the key, and if dealers would latch onto this, and they're all sitting there going, well, I have some kind of a desking tool that came with my, DMS. It's like saying I bought a Corvette. Why? Because it came with floor mats.
Right.
So, how many times, as a manager, you yelled at a salesperson, what happened to that customer? Oh, he was just looking. They escaped. Well, if you use the new technology that's out there, you eliminate that. If you come into my dealership and you go, relax, cowboy, I'm just looking, and I can sit there and say, well, that's great. Before I turn you loose, let me ask you a quick question. Before you leave, you want an exact price, an exact payment, a to the penny amount for your trade-in? Would that be helpful? Well, yeah, great. Let's start with your trade. You're in my process. And you eliminate that, and then if you only close 20% of your just looking customers that have been getting away, what is that going to do for your bottom line? That's what dealers have to look at. And you know, the funny thing is, as technology improves, you know, just like big screen TVs, where does the price go? It goes down. Right. So rather than paying for technology that's only a few years old, where you're paying $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month, you can get actually better technology, again, because this is the way technology works, for literally 80% less. You know, you're going to pay $400, $500, $600 a month for the same technology, and there's an investment that makes sense, because you know where you're taking a short deal on some of your new inventory to move it, or maybe an overage used car, one deal,
right?
You know, and on some of your hotter products, one deal might pay for that technology for an entire year, and it's available. You just have to take advantage of it and be willing to take a look at it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing is that, you know, the whole premise of this segment is for salespeople and for dealers and for managers. You know, invest in yourself and invest in your own business, and you'll get that investment back. I think it's just that simple.
Yeah, I mean, look at it this way too, Tim. If you're not willing to invest in yourself, why would somebody from the outside world come in and invest in you?
Right.
You know, I mean, if you're not going to paint your building, why would I stop by, you know, and say, hey, you know, I got nothing to do today, you want me to paint this?
Right.
I'm not a painter,
right.
So it's not worth it.
So, guys, in closing, this is John's 20th anniversary edition of his book, Reject Me, I Love It. 21 Secrets for Turning Rejection into Direction, written by John Furman. Okay, this is a great read. This is a great book. 20th anniversary, people are still buying it. So, in closing, John, why don't you just let everybody know how they can get this book?
The easiest way to get it is just go right on Amazon. Be careful when you search it. Search for the 20th anniversary edition. We've updated it. You know, we've got things in there like the internet, which didn't exist when I first came out with the book. So it is a little bit more modern than it was, but the principles are still the same. So just go to Amazon.com, search Reject Me, I Love It, and you'll be able to find it there.
And here's what I'll do. I'll buy this book from John, and the first person that correctly answers on the YouTube video, in the comments below, the first person that tells me how many searches I said came up in 47 seconds for how to buy a car, I'll send you this book. Till next time, y'all keep selling.